Alright, y'all, so today I want to make a very quick Halo update video that is frankly kind of crazy, but that is Mr. Rebs made a new video, and this is more of a confirmation video, kind of based on a video I did a few months ago. That is, there was initially a rumor that was posted by Halo Leaks that Halo Studios is not only just producing the Halo campaign Evolved, the CE remake, but they're going to be working on Halo 2 and Halo 3 remakes, respectively. And he also showcased some early leaker stuff. There was a guy that posted stuff about a year before the reveal even happened, and he basically said something along the lines of, yeah, they're doing the CE remake, but they're also going to be they have plans to do the whole trilogy to be remade, and this is only going to be campaign apparently, and they're going to kind of stick close to the story, but there's going to be some differences here and there. But it's going to be campaign only, and apparently the reasoning for this is simply just because they kind of chalk it up, they're kind of scared. Microsoft wants Halo Studios to just remake the original Halo trilogy because they feared the backlash and a lot of the criticism that was really much rampant throughout the 343 era of Halo. So they feel like it's much more easier to just kind of stick with their guns, stick with, what works, which was, of course, that original Halo trilogy, and just remake it, possibly get a whole new generation of Halo fans involved. And I don't know, maybe they'll lead into some kind of new Halo 7. I don't know. Like I said, we've been also hearing reports of some kind of multiplayer project. We don't know what the hell that's going to be. People have kind of codenamed it Halo 7, but like I said, we really don't know what that's going to be, or even if that's going to be revealed, which hopefully maybe at Halo Fest it will. That being said, Mr. Rebs in his video kind of, talked about all these various rumors, things people were speaking about, and apparently spoke with some anonymous developers who are or possibly at Halo Studios or at some of the other support studios. And unlike, I guess, Halo Anniversary, they did mention early on in some leaks that Halo Studios is directly involved with the development, but there's also going to be, of course, contractors, support studios working on the stuff, which is not, like I said, it's a usual thing with these big AAA games. That being said, Mr. Reb spoke to a developer, and he basically mentioned and confirmed that there are indeed plans to remake Halo 2 and Halo 3. Now, he can't really share too many other details beyond that, I guess, because he's stricken to an NDA. But he also spoke to some other developers, or maybe the same one, and asked a kind of obvious question: why not do a Halo 7? Why not make new Halo stuff instead of just remaking the original trilogy? And he basically said something along the lines the leaker said last year, that Microsoft wants to play it safe, Halo Studios wants to play it safe, and they feel like it will be a potentially better revenue stream and safer for fans, and they just don't want to deal with the criticism, I guess, what comes with a new Halo game. They also mentioned, too, the reason why we probably won't ever get MCC ported over the PlayStation is probably because they're going to be remaking the whole trilogy. So if you have any other hopes and desires to see MCC on PlayStation, you can tuck that in and throw it away, apparently, because they're not going to do that. They're just going to remake the original Halo 1, 2, and 3 games, and they're going to be, of course, released probably on all platforms like this new CE remake's going to be. And MCC is just going to stay on Xbox, which I don't know how to feel about that. I feel like arguably the best way to experience Halo is through the MCC, at least in my opinion, but I mean, hey, whatever. I guess, like I said, they're doing this because there's potentially huge revenue from doing this. And to be fair, to their credit, there has been a lot of remakes in the gaming industry as of late, and some of them have been really successful. I think the Dead Space remake came out. That was quite successful. I know the Resident Evil remakes have been killing it as of late. I mean, they've even gotten, remake sequels. So there's definitely a market out there. So maybe they're just kind of seeing where the winds are changing, and they're just going to follow with the course of things. But yeah, my quick thoughts on this thing. The fact is, it's kind of confirmed. that we're going to get a Halo trilogy being remade by Halo Studios. I also forgot to mention, according to some leaks as well, like CE or Campaign Evolved, this is just going to be campaign, now multiplayer involved, which I don't know how to feel about that, mate. But yeah, my thoughts on all of this new information. The fact is, we might basically already be confirmed that they indeed have plans in place to remake Halo 2 and 3. I will say this, and like my previous video, it really just depends how Halo Campaign Evolved does. Because it's great and all that they have indeed plans to do remakes of all of the original games. And I don't think it's necessarily a hugely bad thing, but I do want to see news and talk about a Halo 7. Because the original trilogy games are all great, and they're going to always be classics. But, they are, like I said, in the past. And I think the franchise should really look forward to the future and embark on a new game. Especially since Halo Edge of Dawn just came out, which is a book that kind of was a sequel to Halo Infinite. I want to see a sequel to Halo Infinite. I really want to see the follow-up to that game. But that being said, I am still, like I said in my previous videos about Halo CE or Campaign Evolved, I am really excited for it. I do think, though, like I said, it ultimately depends on how well this remake does. Because if this remake comes out, it sucks, it's buggy, it's glitchy, and maybe doesn't even sell well, yeah, you can throw these plans of a Halo 2 remake out of the window. And I don't think a lot of people would even want to see the remakes of those games if you already screwed up on your first outing, right? Excuse me. And I think, it just ultimately depends still on Campaign Evolved. I am hoping for a really good remake. I am hoping that some of the issues I said about the assets are fixed. But we'll wait and see. We're still a long ways away, and we still haven't seen that much of the game. Now, in terms of a Halo Studios, Halo 2 Remake, and 3, am I interested in those? Halo 2, not as much. Just because, simply put, we had Halo 2 Anniversary, which is over 10 years old at this point, and that anniversary absolutely still holds up. The blur cutscenes are absolutely fantastic. They still hold up to this very day. They're super high quality. Even the gameplay itself is a great remaster of the original Halo 2 graphics. And I think, it's going to be really hard to remake Halo 2. Simply put, because the standard is already super high. Unlike CE and 3, where there's not even like I said, there's not even a remake for that one, Halo 2 has a lot to live up to. The only way I can really see they remake it and make it good is if they add mini-cut elements and new things to the campaign. And, luckily for the developers, if they're hopefully looking at this stuff, Halo 2 has tons of cut content that never made it to the game, And Halo 2 originally did have Sprint. So Sprint being in Halo 2 would naturally actually make more sense. Also, there were just so many levels and story elements cut from that game. I would love to see a restoration of Alpha Moon being added to the game, which was actually restored by the Dig Site team. I would love to see other missions maybe actually finished, which were like Forerunner Tank, or really throw in a limb on this one, but maybe even the third act of Halo 2, which was the Earth Arc missions, which was that big finale where the Ark was on the Earth and Master Chief, was flying through the Covenant, destroying the Prophets. What, like I said, was abandoned and eventually culminated into Halo 3. I would love to see, though, that added to the game as maybe like as an alternate ending. Like, I think that would give huge replay value to people who would actually want to play Halo 2 because they can actually see, what was Bungie's original vision? What was the original ending? And that'll be super cool. And the opportunity for that is great. Do I think they're going to do that? I don't know. It's, like I said, it really roughly depends on that. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't even do that. But, just kind of wishful thinking. Throwing things out there. Maybe one of the developers, happens to see this video. Probably not. But that being said, also Halo 3. Halo 3 is a remake. Totally makes sense. I think Halo 3 holds up great. It's one of my favorite campaigns of the franchise. Graphically, it still holds up. I even think, for the most part today, there's just some awkward animations and some of the character models, especially on the humans, look a bit fishy. But all that can be redone with brand new Unreal Engine graphics. And I think Halo 3 absolutely deserves a remake. I think it's absolutely needed. As great as Halo 3 is, arguably the best multiplayer of the series, I think it's absolutely great. I think it's a good idea to remake it. The only thing I would say is similar to Halo 2, they can maybe add some cut things. Like, for example, they can maybe add the Guardian Forest level, which is a very famous cut level from Halo 2 that was, or not from Halo 2, Halo 3, that was partially done and had some work done on it, but had never been finished. I would absolutely love to put that into the game, and it can fit nicely in the already established narrative of the game already. Even Forerunner City, which had less work done on it, but was a really awesome level, and could have potentially explored many different things with Halo. I would love for that level to be put in. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know. We will wait and see. But the potential for these remakes and the premise of maybe adding cut content is enormous. It would add huge value to people who would want to play these remakes who are already Halo fans. And of course, immense value to people who've never heard of the Halo games and want to get into them the first time, which I'm sure a lot of people on PlayStation are going to with this Campaign Evolved remake. So like I said, I am optimistic for this. I do prefer, at the end of the day, I do want to see a Halo Infinite sequel. I think that should be, like I said, after maybe CE does well, maybe they can work on that. But we'll wait and see. I am still looking forward to these remakes if they do happen. And like I said, I think hopefully they can take some of my ideas and maybe put them to the game. But yeah, my thoughts on this recent news and this recent developments with Halo. Hopefully you have a good day and peace, y'all.